Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Compact Everyday Carry and Gadgets. And today we're going to have the top 5 reasons compact, subcompact, and micro handguns are better for everyday carry. Now, I already had a list of why they're not good for everyday carry, but now we're going to go with the top 5 reasons of why they are better for everyday carry in no particular order, but we do have a list of 1 through 5. We're just going to kind of talk about it, discuss it, and see why maybe you should consider a compact slash subcompact slash micro handgun for everyday carry. Number 1, easier to conceal. Now, this is the obvious. This is a lot of the reason why we do it. Is just because it's easier. It's easier to carry. It's easier to be consistent. It's easier to be responsible and not leave the house without it, because it's just easier to conceal no matter how you want to conceal. If you want to go appendix, if you want to go 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, if you want to go ankle, you have options with these smaller firearms. Of course, when you go bigger, you're going to be limited either in the weather that you could everyday carry or even in the place you want to everyday carry. So number 1, easier to conceal. Number 2, way more comfortable. Now, number 1 and number 2 kind of go together. The smaller the firearm, the less intrusive it's going to feel. The easier it's going to be for you to have it on you regardless of your dress attire. If you're in sports clothes and workout clothes and suit and tie, if you wear a uniform for work, or if you just go to work, if you go to the gym, it's just way more comfortable, which connects, like I said, to number 1. That's going to equal be more consistent, be more responsible, having it on you at all times, because like I've always said, you don't control everything around you. You can't control the day, the time when you will need to use your everyday carry to defend yourself, your life, or any of your loved ones. So the fact that it's just way more comfortable, it's going to equal way more time that you have it on you consistently and religiously. Number 3, better for close encounters. Now, a lot of you guys might not understand what I mean by that, but when I say better for close encounters, one, every time you will have to, well, I'm not going to say every time, but for the most part, when you need to use your everyday carry for self-defense, most likely it will be a close encounter. Most likely you won't have time to get behind the optic or the iron sights and aim perfectly. You're going to most likely just have to react because it's a close encounter. Of course, if you have a bigger firearm, that gives more space, it just gives somebody more to grab onto. If you have a bigger firearm and you're in a close encounter and you pull it out and you gotta fight off somebody and you guys are fighting for it, the smaller the firearm, the more you can manipulate it, the more you can control it. The bigger, the more they have to grab onto, the harder it's gonna be for you to present, because it's be easier for somebody to kind of grab onto something and yank it off of your arms, or just keep it away from them. So the smaller it is, the more you can manipulate it, the more you could maneuver, even run, do whatever you got to do. I believe it's easier when it's a micro or just a smaller subcompact compact firearm. Just way easier for close encounters. Number 4, round capacity is no longer an issue or a sacrifice. This is one of the best things we have witnessed lately, is that the smaller the firearms are getting does not mean we're getting less round capacity. Right here in this CSX E series, I have 17 plus 1 in a tiny firearm. Yes, the handle is smaller, but this is the longest option of mags that come with the CSX E series. They have a 15 round, and I believe it's a 12 or a 10, which will be flat. And it's still great round capacity, more than sufficient for everyday carry and for self-defense. Even for home defense, a 17 plus 1 for me is amazing. So this gun could be well-rounded. It could be used for everyday carry and even home defense if you need it, just because the round capacity is not being sacrificed anymore due to the size being smaller. Now you have options. Just because a firearm is bigger does not mean necessarily that the smaller one's going to have way less round capacity. But yes, the same tech that's going into these, where these are getting more round capacities, the bigger ones are getting more as well. But at what point do we say, okay, 15 rounds is sufficient for everyday carry? I think we have reached that point where these smaller firearms is almost being a baseline that 12 rounds is almost minimum to all these smaller firearms and 15 rounds. So that is an amazing thing, and that's one of the big plus right now of having a micro slash compact slash subcompact for everyday carry is a plus for me. Number 5, can be a little more affordable. Now, this isn't true across all brands or true across all lines of firearm, but for the most part, the smaller the firearm, usually they are a little cheaper. Look at the Smith & Wessons, for example. Usually their shields and their bodyguards cost a little less than their bigger firearms. Same thing with the Glocks, the 42s, the 43 cost a little less than the bigger. Even with the SIGs, I believe we kind of go through the same thing. So yeah, usually the smaller the firearm, for the most part, you will be finding better prices, better deals, and just usually a little more affordable, which makes sense. Smaller the firearms, less material that goes into it, but sometimes the smaller, the more tech has to be put into it to be able to squeeze so much into such a tiny packet. But for the most part, like I said, could usually be a little more affordable than a fuller, bigger firearm, which I think is a big plus and a thumbs up if you ask me. I love my micro slash subcompact firearms, and like I said, now they're becoming like a crossbreed where you could literally everyday carry and home defense. Back in the days, you needed multiple firearms for multiple situations and multiple things to cover multiple grounds. Now you could find one that handles it all. Back in the days, I think the number one for everybody is the Glock 19. Now this has Glock 19 capacity in a way smaller package, which is amazing. Crazy when you think about that. But that's it for now, guys. That was the top 5 reasons compact slash subcompact slash micro handguns are better for everyday carry. Let's run through that list again before we wrap up the video. Number 1 was easier to conceal. Number 2, way more comfortable. Number 3, better for close encounters. Number 4, round capacity is no longer an issue or a sacrifice that you got to make when deciding to go with a smaller firearm. And number 5, can be a little more affordable than a bigger firearm. But that's it for now, guys. If I missed anything, make sure you leave them down in the comments so I can include it in the next videos. And like, comment, share, subscribe, hype up the video. But that's it for now, guys. Compact, everyday carry, and gadgets. I'm out of here, guys. God bless.